What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Lost Holocron podcast. I am your host, Didge, and with me, as always, is the homie Jamie. Jamie, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I remembered to put my shade down so I won't be looking like I'm about to like flame on or something. But
That's
yeah,
fair. You don't want to look like like it's just heaven behind you, just bright
yep.
white. I get
Not
it.
yet.
Eh,
Not now.
Not yet. You got some years left. I get you. I get
Right.
you. Also with us today, as always, is AJ. AJ, how's it going?
Pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. This is going to be a shorter episode. We don't have any extra Star Wars news, which kind of makes sense. I mean, we're 2 weeks out essentially from May the 4th, which is usually when a lot of the big news sort of starts getting dropped. So it's really just the episode, and you know what? That's okay. Not every episode needs to be something that's super long. Sometimes you just want to get in, talk about how you feel, prepare for the worst because I still think the worst is coming, and get out. So, Jamie, we'll start with you. Just give us some of your thoughts on the episode. Obviously, talking about your theories, how you feel like they're holding up, and where you see this sort of landing from here. Because we only got two left after this.
Yeah. So this was an interesting episode. I want to say it was the last episode that we all kind of felt that it was maybe a little bit fillerish, was trying to find the admiral man whose name I forget, but I remember he was an admiral. But now we started to see a little bit of movement there. They are trying to like track down a ship that's heading to Tantus, and watching that was pretty interesting because they're almost like undercover like spy kind of missions. I enjoyed that aspect of it. And then on the front of Tantus, Omega is like, the first time Nia did watch this, I wasn't like fully paying attention to like I guess the screen. Like I was kind of listening to it in the background. So I was watching it back today. I like Omega's making some like mischievous faces that I don't know if I ever see. Like I like she it feels like she's the crime boss down there, and she's like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. Like I need you to keep her busy. I'm breaking out of here.
Yeah, she
That was funny.
definitely, she definitely came in full on like, all right, I'm only here for a little while because I'm breaking out, and
Hmm.
the rest of like the test subjects, they were kind of just sort of they gave into their lot of the land, like they're just like this is just life now.
Hmm.
So it, I think if she's going to want to take them with her, she's going to have to inspire them at some point because even though they were trying to make sure that she didn't get caught already, they don't seem like they're still fully on board. They're kind of like, well, what's the point of it? This isn't going to work.
Yeah, I'm interested to see kind of like the plan she puts together, like the steps of the plan, because they've got a little like baby prisoner that they also have to bring with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, who's gonna be responsible for that child, and like I don't know. There's a lot of, and we also don't even know like the escape route, like how they're gonna like I guess shimmy their way up or down the route either. So I don't know. It's very interesting. I kind of like that. I don't know. We have movement on both sides of things where like the I guess traditional Bad Batch team, they're I don't know. The like working undercover was cool, and also seeing kind of Tech split off and do his own thing. Tech was looking like freaking a ninja going through the like landing area where the ship was, trying to get the coordinates and like get onto the ship. I was like, I didn't know Tech
Echo,
could
you
do
mean?
all this. Oh yeah, Echo, not Tech. But
We gotta let her finish. I was just like, all right,
I'm
she.
sorry.
No, I was,
It confused me for a second. I was like, wait, hold on.
the first time I was like, wait a minute, and I was like, I'm gonna let her finish, and then we'll correct it.
no, yeah, I meant Echo. There's a lot of names. I'd be
it,
confused.
it
But
is.
Echo, yeah. Echo is really cool. And I hope that I don't know. I feel like the way that things ended, not that he ended in kind of a bad position, but he's just like he's by himself. And I feel like as we're wrapping things down, you
You
put
think that's the
yourself,
first? You think
yeah,
that's the first sign?
he put himself in a position to be the first one to go. Which I was thinking it was gonna be Wrecker. I felt like there were so many signs that just like, Wrecker, he's not long for this world, but I don't know. Echo might have been like, hold my beer, Wrecker.
Oh,
Let me show you
yikes!
something crazy.
Let me show you how. Let me show you how you got to go. Like that's
Yeah,
crazy.
I don't
AJ,
know.
how are you feeling about this episode? Like JV said, it was a lot happened. But it still felt like a lot of setup. But like I said, there was definitely a good amount of action that held
Mhm.
you over to advance the plot.
For me, it was an okay episode.
Ooh.
That's interesting.
I mean, it was a good episode. Like it pushed things forward with
Mm-hmm.
to know how the team is going to find Omega. So that's something that was good about it. Other than that, I wasn't really that impressed. Jamie, you mentioned that Omega's expression was a little mischievous. I thought it was just more of a cocky type of expression because, like she said before, she's already been through it and she thinks she can do it again,
Mm-hmm.
which might be her downfall in the future.
Do you think
Mm.
she's the first to
No,
go?
no, 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 no.
That'd be
I think
crazy.
she's the last. No, she. I don't think she's gonna die. Actually, she's gonna get captured. Everybody else is gonna die.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
but yeah, all in all, I'm ready for the next 2 episodes. That's where most of the hype episodes is going to be at because I feel like
Mhm.
this was just a setup episode. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like hype worthy like the other episodes that we've gotten before. And that's just my thoughts on that one.
No, I can understand that. I mean, obviously, just looking at where they want to end with the episode titles themselves, Flash Strike and the Cavalry has arrived. Those are the last two episode titles. Those
Mhm.
clearly sound like they're more set up for okay, this is where the meat of the action is going to be. So that's you kind of you kind of need to get all the chess pieces into the right places.
Yeah.
So I could understand that being something that people just aren't as into, especially as you start winding down the series. You do
Mhm.
start to get that worry in your head of, well, how are you going to put all of this, or where are we going to land when you have a finite amount of time? So
Mhm.
it's I definitely get it. I enjoyed the episode because I like the setup of it all. Like I said, I think the pieces are starting to get put into the right place. Like Omega has her plan kind of
Mhm.
coming together. I don't know how fully it is together. If she's just like, I need to get on the outside of this room, and this is probably a better way than trying to fight through the door. I don't know what she knows beyond that, but at the very least, it seems like the people are sort of all starting to get put in place. Um, the doctor, she's still kind of waffling back and forth.
Good
She
old
she
Emery.
she she I don't know where she's gonna land. She's kind of a wild card. She might end up still betraying, or she might have her change her heart. But it's one of those things where the seeds are planted, and I think that's the biggest thing I took away from this episode is that okay, the last two are going to be fun because everything's kind of primed for that.
Mhm. I agree. I was funny because I can't remember what the other doctor's name is, but the other lady that's supporting Emery, she asked Emery like, do you think this was a good idea putting Omega in there with them? I remember I said that during the episode because I was just like, yeah, who would do this? I like she clearly, she's gonna try and escape again, and she has a method to it. So they definitely that'll make it more challenging, I think, for the entire group, just because they're already on the lookout for those kind of things.
Yeah, I guess Hemlock is just probably arrogant at this point. Like, okay, you got away, but we captured you. We can do it again. It's weird. And I think it probably will backfire in a way for him before it probably, to AJ's point of Omega's arrogance, backfire for her. but it's just like I guess it sets up for an interesting end of are those kids going to like rise up to the plate or anything? Um, I kind of don't know how this is going to end now. Like I know I was saying last week that I think it kind of ends open ended, but how open ended I'm not kind of sure of anymore. Like, to AJ's point, everybody could die and Omega gets captured. That's kind of
Mhm.
open ended, but it's pretty buttoned up to know like, well, nobody else coming for her at that point.
I'm kind of wondering, like, because I know last week we talked about, or like, I have my theory of Asajj coming to save the day, and now I'm like, oh, I don't know how likely that
Yeah.
is, unless they get to Tantus. They're like, okay, these are the coordinates. They leave, and they're like, we need to find some help, and then come
Right.
back. But that feels like it would be like too much, unless maybe they could send a message with the coordinates somewhere, and have the message be undetected. I don't know. So now I'm wondering, like, who the cavalry is. Maybe it's the other clones that are there because they're like, oh, it can escape, instead of other people from outside of Tantus showing up.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces that have yet to like connect really. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't think 2 episodes is enough to actually connect them. So
Mm.
it's hard to say what'll happen next
Mm-hmm.
because this episode ended with everybody knowing where to go. Well, the team figured out
Mm-hmm.
a way to get to Tantus
Yeah.
along with Echo, and that
Mm-hmm.
was it. That's our
Yeah.
spoiler alert. That was the end of it. So is the next episode another setup episode to further that?
I feel like
I,
it can't be. We had two setups.
Yeah,
We
I
gotta
kind of
move.
I think next episode is like the start of the action where it may end on a cliffhanger of okay, we're here, this final battle, so to speak, for this type of series has started, and
Mm-hmm.
then even if they're at like a low point in that battle, it's sort of like the start of the climax, and then I think the final episode obviously ends the climax, and you sort of understand the lay of the land after everything that happened.
okay.
It would be weird to have another setup. To your point,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, AJ, since you feel like there's not a whole lot of time to maybe execute some of the ideas that we're thinking of, or at least just like bring all of the pieces together. Now, with like what you've seen so far, how do you feel that the series will kind of wrap up? Like, do you think we get like Asajj and all these other characters, or it's like pretty contained?
Yeah, right now I think it's going to be pretty contained. I don't think Asajj will show up. I don't think Rex will show up. And that was my previous theory that
Mm-hmm.
everybody will show up at the end.
right?
But right now it feels like that the team is now trapped because they won't have anywhere to like actually ask for help since they're in the middle of one of the heaviest, most secure place in the galaxy at this point. So it's like, how are they going to send a message to help for the cavalry, basically, for the last episode? And
Mm-hmm.
it goes to your point, Jamie. Maybe the cavalry is just the inmates, basically. So, but my thing is that I think one of the producers or the show writers talked about that this isn't the end that we're going to see Asajj.
Mm-hmm.
So was
Mm.
that like was that hinted at that she would be at the end of this episode, or was it be like something totally separate from Bad Batch?
Mm.
That's uh, right now. I have no idea. That's something I should be excited for because I don't know how it's gonna end, or but it's something that I'm a little worried about because it's just too much to like think about. And for me, I think it's just they might just rush everything. Think about this like as Game of Thrones. The way
Mm-hmm.
they ended that was way too quick. Um, it wasn't bad for me, but everything just happened so fast, quick pace and everything. And I feel like that's something that we might get with Bad Batch. Hopefully, I'm
Mm-hmm.
wrong. But that's what I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that because I can't remember what I was watching or listening to, but there was a different couple of people that were talking about the Bad Batch, and someone was saying, oh, it might have been Jawan actually. Jawan was saying that he felt like the season was rushed, and I was like, huh, like I don't feel that
Yeah, that's how I'm
personally,
feeling right now too. To be
but
honest.
yeah, I can see your point with like these last few episodes being rushed though, because it does feel like a lot kind of needs to happen for what we've imagined to be the ending. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've enjoyed the episode that came out this week, and as long as they continue to do that, can't really be too upset.
I get where I get where he's coming from with it. And I know AJ, you said you kind of feel that way too, where it feels like I won't necessarily. I guess it's tough to say rushed because it feels like the first maybe 7 or 8 episodes of the season they were kind of just meandering along. Like we're
Yeah,
setting up
yeah.
everything.
Hmm.
We're showing what everything's going to be about this season,
I
and then I
I
feel
want
like go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like at that, like I said, maybe 8, could be 9, at somewhere around that mark. It kind of felt like they were like, "Oh shit, we gotta actually finish this thing." So now we gotta go full speed ahead. And
Hmm.
even in those setup episodes, I feel like it was sort of just like, well, this is done just to get from A to B because at the end of the day, we got to get to E. So we got to get through A, B, C, and D in these 2 episodes.
Okay. Yes.
Now we can finish off sort of, we put you where you need to be to finish it. And I could see where somebody's like, that just felt like it felt rushed or it felt like too much because it's
Hmm.
like I said, you kind of took away the opportunity to really go through an entire season. You kind of did like a super season, and then now I gotta finish out the meat of it in 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the issue I think Star Wars is having right now as a whole. Is once again they're listening to the fans. In a way that the the sequel trilogy happened. Nobody really cared. Well, a lot of people had issues with the Force Awakens, so they try to fix it with Rise of Skywalker, where everybody asks like it needs to be more inventive, it needs to be more original, and that's what Ryan Johnson gave us, and then that backfired.
Right.
The same way it's happening, I think, with this season of Bad Batch, which is not a bad season, but like I was saying before, it does feel rushed,
Yeah.
and a lot of that is because I think that a lot of the fans, us, basically complain that there's too much filler within the Bad Batch, and
Mm.
though for me personally, I like the filler because it gave that season room to breathe and gave us a more connection to the Bad Batch and that team and all the scenarios they went through. But now it feels like it's just get here, like you said, go to A to B and all the way to get to E, basically. And like it rushes and then it slows down a little bit at some
Mm-hmm.
point, and then it rushes, and then it's like they're stuck to fit everything together, basically, which is something I'm having a little bit of issues with. It's not like a huge issue, but it's like they're picking in my brain. That's like just do what you got to do, basically. Like the first 4 episodes, to me, I feel like it was like they were confident in the series, and that's the last season of that series.
Mm-hmm.
And now it feels like it kind of feels like they're like what's the word? They're they're rushing everything basically, and
Yeah.
Mm.
everything is just like boom there. They're like as soon as the side showed up, everything just started rushing. I don't know why.
Mm.
Which I think sort of goes to because Asajj showed up episode 9.
Yeah.
So I think at that point, to your point of them sort of going with it, feeling confident, and then all of a sudden being like, "Oh crap, I gotta land this thing." At that point, they could, in theory, you're like, "I got 5 episodes left.
Mm-hmm.
I have however much story. I gotta make this either stretch or I have to condense this." And it kind of feels like, in a way, they did both, where they were like, "All right, I need this to stretch." And then at a certain point, they stretching like, "Well, we stretched too long. Now I gotta get
Yeah.
all of this in."
Yeah. That's what I was
Okay.
gonna say with like the beginning of the series, and like what you were saying earlier did like those first few episodes, which is interesting because AJ's like, they're saying they're confident, like they had this. I felt like the first few episodes, it's okay to not really know like the direction of the show since you have so many more episodes left. But I do remember feeling like towards the middle of the season, like, okay, where are we going? Like, what are we doing with this? And
Wait.
we haven't really got, I guess, like a whole lot more information since that point, other than just saying like you're going back to Tantus, and we know what the M count is now, so it all is kind of pointing back to Tantus. And I do think that they could have done a better job of kind of, I guess, like helping us get that information a little bit more throughout like those middle episodes, rather than just like Asad shows up. This is what the imp count is. This is why you should be afraid. You should get out of here. Next episode. Okay, we got to get out of here. We have no choice, and everything kind of just keeps rolling from there.
All right, so this is a question for both of y'all.
Mhm.
Do you think that Omega and Crosshair should have escaped that first time? That's my
Mm.
question.
So, do you mean like, um,
So
So
basically, what I'm asking is, should there like should they still be in prison up until this point, and the Bad Batch figure out a way to like get to them? So instead of rescuing them the first time, them rescuing themselves the first time, and then
mhm.
just doing it all over again, like Omega getting captured all over again.
I think. Well, you can go first if you want to, Ditch. I just
no, go
spoke.
ahead. I'm still trying to put mine. I'm still trying to put my thoughts together.
Okay. So I personally think that them being in prison up until like episode 13 or 14, like that would have been way too long. And I'm sure that's probably not what you mean, just like have them in prison longer.
That's what I
But
mean. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I'm fine with them kind of like leaving the prison when they did. I think to your point of kind of like now they have to go back to the prison and try and save Omega again. They're kind of back to where they were at the beginning of the season. I do see that and think that maybe they could have done something different here. Um uh, I don't know.
See,
See, if they were in prison longer, then it kind of delays the whole like, oh, we need to find Omega, do this, and we can't really like focus on anything else. So that's why I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know if
yeah.
we should extend those moments. But now we are back to, oh, Omega's in prison. We need to find Tantus. Like we have to do that. We can't focus on anything else again. So I don't know. That's
That's
I
tough.
true. Yeah.
I feel like both shouldn't have got out, because even
Mm,
though we knew that, even when they escaped, we knew that all roads were going to lead back to Tantus for the rest of the
mhm,
season.
Mm-hmm.
It on some level, somebody could have just still been kind of like, why, especially once they figured out what the M count was, why the Empire was after them. That kind of killed the reason of, well, why would you go back to the seat of where they're trying to get you to?
Yeah.
Whereas if it was like, it probably makes more sense that Omega would have been the one to escape both times. Like even if Crosshair would have sacrificed himself to help her get out for that final, like that during that first escape, but it gives you a more concrete reason of, well, yes, you're trying to escape, but you got to go back and get Crosshair, or you know, granted, like they were just trying to go back because they want to save everyone, but you would have felt more, you would have felt that reasoning more if it was a
mhm.
character that we know and cared about.
See, I like that, but the way my mind imagined it is that Crosshair was the one to escape,
Yeah, I imagine that
Mm,
and
too. I because I'm like, not that they wouldn't care that Crosshair's in prison, but I don't think there would be as much urgency if Crosshair was the one that
fair.
died, you know?
yeah, so I feel like there would have been. I could be wrong, but for me, I feel like there could have been a lot more emotional depth
Hmm.
between Crosshair and the team.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like there would be a lot more banter between the team and them trying to figure out a way to like rekindle that magic they once had as a team and so on. And then they all figure it out. But once again, the issue is that they wouldn't know what the M count is or
Yeah.
even figure out anything of the sort of that.
Hmm.
They would still try to find Omega, which fair enough could still feel a little daunting most of the time because it's like what 9 episodes in,
Mhm.
she's still captured basically.
Mhm.
But on one end, it can still feel repetitive because it feels repetitive because like she got captured, she's not captured anymore, and then she got
Yeah.
captured again. It's like choose a different evil. Which is the lesser evil in this, and I can't like figure out which one's the lesser evil to like make everything work perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's sort of been our, I guess, our thoughts all season. This is good, but it's missing something.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, I feel like that's sort of been just Star Wars in general for a long, long time. I'm having fun, but I could be having so much more fun if you just did that one little thing better, or you did that one thing right, and it was bothering me, and it sucks. You know, especially in a time where we're getting so much other good stuff. It's just you do always wonder, well, why can't you guys get it right? And it to your point, AJ, could it be that they're just listening to the fans a little too much, not trusting themselves? I really hope that they get that going correctly. Because Star Wars at its best is some of my favorite stuff in TV. So TV,
Mhm.
movies, anything. Um, but yeah, I mean, we got 2 episodes left. I still feel good that they'll stick the landing. We'll get a good ending, whether that's something that's concrete, whether it's something that is uh open ended, but you kind of know the vibes,
Mhm.
or whether it's just something completely out of left field. Do you guys still feel pretty confident that they'll stick the landing, or have your thoughts been shaken a little bit?
Um, I I do feel confident they'll stick the landing. I'm just not sure if it's the destination that I've been picturing so far. Like there
Fair.
have been a lot of different things, which honestly, I feel like that's a gift and a curse, you know, because you could really surprise me and I'll be even more like interested in like, oh, I should probably like rewatch this thing because I'm sure they had like clues leading up to this. Or
Mhm.
it could just like fall flat and like, oh my god, like I imagine this way better than what the execution was. So they are at a very crucial point in the series as far as like make or break. But I do feel like they'll stick it because what they're doing is not what I thought or how I thought the story would play out. And I feel like especially for the final season, like they do want to kind of send it off with the bang. And I think they were able to
Mhm.
do that with Clone Wars. So they just need to, you know, kind of dig those heels in and do the same with this show.
Yeah, what Jamie mentioned, we definitely could be missing something throughout
Fair.
this entire season.
Mhm.
I do think they will stick the landing. Um, I just the way you mentioned it is that it'll end open endedly. I can't see that.
That's fair.
Personally, because it's the final season. There's nothing else coming
Yeah.
after this, and the fans already know what happens. Thanks to the sequel trilogy and all, and Mandalorian and all of that. But I think they should give us something that's more concrete. Um,
Yeah,
for
I
new
would prefer
fans,
that.
not just for us, but for like new people that are getting into
Hmm.
Star Wars, basically. So
That makes
that's
sense.
one thing. What you say?
No, I was just saying that makes sense. That's probably the preferred thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I do see them sticking the landing on these final two episodes for me.
What about you, Didge?
Yeah, like I said, I think they'll stick the landing. I think I'm done making a prediction of what that landing will be.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
done too.
but I do think it'll be something that out in the season going like, all right, this was worth the ride.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, that's all I care about is am I going to be happy at the end?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but yeah, this is definitely a shorter episode. Like I said, all we had was the episode itself to talk about. So, AJ,
Hmm.
where can the people find you and what you got coming up, man?
Right now, you can find me on Twitter 24/7, basically at KNerd89. You can also
Yikes.
find me at Collider doing anime reviews, news, top 10
Mm.
lists, basically. And that's
Mm.
about it. Oh, I am gonna get more um activity with my threads. It's
Hmm.
AJ Geek Vibes underscore. And I'm gonna do a lot more like comic book news,
Ooh,
comic
okay.
book, manga, and basically anything within the comic book genre. I'm gonna start doing like news, reviews, and stuff like that.
Okay.
Fun.
We do always make sure to have those links in the description, so they will be down there for you. Jamie, where can they find you? What you got coming up?
Yeah, you guys can find me at swiper underscore prime on a lot of the platforms, not most of them, I think, but a lot of them. Particularly on Twitch and on YouTube. On YouTube, I've been playing through Ocarina of Time. I actually recorded the next episode today where I finished the Forest Temple, and that boss battle. It took me a good bit of time to beat. Y'all won't see that, but just know it took me a little bit of time to beat.
Edited that
Um,
down.
yeah, definitely gonna edit that down. And then on Twitch, I'm gonna be streaming Final Fantasy 7 today as a recording. I usually try and stream it on Saturdays, so if y'all are around, definitely come through, hang out. Um, but yeah, that's what I've got going on. Come hang
Nice.
out.
Nice. You can find me at Dig underscore DEE everywhere. Keep a lookout at my channel. It's Dig D also. I try to stay consistent. You can also find the podcast at GeeksetPodcast. Let's see. The week that this comes out, if you're at C2E2 this weekend, catch us walking around. We should
Oh.
be there in Chicago. And that next week after, if you're in the New York area, you should probably catch us walking around somewhere there too. It's gonna be a busy couple weeks of traveling, so it'll
Mhm.
be fun. But this has been the Lost Holocron podcast, and until next time, we are out. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.